What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was the rejected son and rose as the ruler of all Bijuu? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description box to original creator of this beautiful creation. I thought you weren't going to let me kill a single one of your comrades. Naruto, said Obito from atop the Juubi's head. Naruto stared at him sternly, holding the lifeless body of Neji Hyuga in his arms. He had given his life to protect Naruto from an incoming barrage of the piercing wood jutsu. Tears threatened to spill from Naruto's eyes, while next to him, Hinata started to cry. Naruto spoke to Hinata but did not turn to face her. Hinata, take Neji away from here. I'll handle this. Hinata turned to him shocked. But Naruto, you can't do this alone. She said to him, I have to. I'm grateful for you trying to protect me, but I will not allow any more of my friends to die, he said in a determined voice. His gaze did not shift from Obito, who stared at him with his eye combination of the Sharingan and Rinnegan. Kakashi was watching Naruto and smiled beneath his mask. And I thought I was the copycat, he said, whispering to himself, as he remembered saying something very similar while on their first real mission after confronting Zabuza. Naruto spoke to Hinata once again. Hinata, please, take him and go. I'm going to go ahead with the plan, he said to her. Hinata suddenly remembered what they were supposed to be doing. She hesitated still for a few seconds but finally spoke. Okay Naruto, but please, be careful, she told him while taking Neji and fleeing towards the back of the fight. Naruto slowly stood. He looked from Obito to Madara to the Juubi. Alright, time to put the plan into action, he said. Meanwhile, Hinata had successfully brought Neji to the backlines. She located Sakura right away and brought Neji to her. Sakura, is there anything that can be done for him? Hinata asked, her voice cracking from the sadness. Fresh tears had started falling down her face. Sakura looked him over and scanned him with her chakra. Her face turned downcast and she withdrew her hand and placed it at her side, the green chakra dissipating as she did so. I'm so sorry Hinta. It's too late. There's nothing that can be done. The attack hit too many vital organs, she said in a sorrowful voice. This caused Hinata to break down. She put her hands to her face and started to sob. Sakura put her hand on her shoulders to console the girl. She looked at her. She felt so sorry for her. But she couldn't lie. It's true. There was nothing she could do for him. He was already gone. She looked up at Naruto, who was preparing his strategy against the Juubi and its handlers. Naruto, please be careful, she said in her mind. Naruto prepared to start the plan. Hey Kurama, you there? Naruto asked telepathically. Yes Naruto. What is it? I can't lend you more chakra yet. I haven't regained enough, Kurama replied. That's alright. That's not what I need right now. I need you to transport me into the Juubi's mind, like you did with Sun, the Four Tails. Naruto stated. Are you mad? You'll get yourself killed. The Juubi isn't like one of us Naruto. It has no feelings or emotions of its own. Its sole purpose is to destroy, Kurama said, rejecting his idea. I have to try. The fate of the world rests on this one last plan. It was concocted by Shikaku, Shikamaru's dad. If he had confidence in this plan, then so do I, Naruto retorted. Kurama stayed silent. He understood what Naruto was saying, but he didn't know if they should risk it. Naruto spoke to him again. Please Kurama, this was his final plan. His final wish for us to save the world. I can't abandon it, or else it would be like spitting on his good name, Naruto begged. Kurama still didn't reply to Naruto. But Naruto tried again. Kurama, you know I'm the only one who can do this. And so did Shikaku. Somehow, I was able to create a bond with all the other Bijuu. I got them to trust me. That's why this plan is entirely up to me. That's why I'm the only one capable of pulling this off. If I don't try, it's saying goodbye to all our hopes of winning this war and saving the world, Naruto said, trying to convince the Kyuubi. Kurama stayed silent once more. Alright Naruto. I'll do it, but if it gets too dangerous, I'm pulling you out of there. Understood? He commanded. You got it, he agreed. And thank you. Hey, no problem. Don't die on me and there. You can bet I won't, he said, reassuring his partner. Okay, get ready. I'm sending you in now, Kurama said. Naruto closed his eyes. He heard nothing after a few seconds. No noise or anything. He knew at that point that Kurama had successfully transported him into the Juubi's mind. He slowly opened his eyes. He was stunned at what he saw. There was no ground. He was floating in midair. The surrounding space was nothing but a bunch of dark colors. A dark red, black, purple, gray, all swirling around him in random patterns. The colors were melded together and it created a dark atmosphere. Naruto opened the telepathic link with the Kyuubi again. "Hey Kurama, are you still there?" Naruto questioned. There was no response. "Kurama?" Naruto asked, trying to reach him again. There was silence again at first, but then Kurama responded to him. "Yes Naruto. I'm here. It seems we were successful in getting in." Kurama pointed out. "Yeah, but what's with this place?" he asked. "I told you before. The Juubi is a being of no emotion and destruction. No physical object matters to him. His world is a free space of nothingness." Kurama explained. "That's sad," Naruto said, his expression falling to a saddened one. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" A dark and menacing voice sounded from behind Naruto, although it did not seem to possess any feeling behind its words. Naruto recovered from his daze and spun around. A dark shadow was towering above him. A bolt of lightning flashed across the void, revealing the form of the Juubi staring down at Naruto with its eye. The combined eye of the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. Naruto was shocked by its appearance and floated back a little in surprise. But he quickly regained his composure. He stared back up at the Juubi with determination in his eyes. The Juubi then spoke to him again. "I'll ask you again, who are you?" The Juubi repeated himself. Naruto continued to stare at the Juubi and then spoke. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I am the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox Kurama. He set up a link between your mind and my mind so that I could speak with you." Naruto answered. "And what is it that you want to speak to me about? Be warned, if I do not like your answer, I will kill you." The Juubi threatened, although it did not hold feeling behind its threat either. "I want to ask you why you are causing so much destruction. Why you're letting Obito and Madara Uchiha control you." Naruto said bluntly. "Why am I causing so much destruction?" The Juubi laughed. "Because it is in my nature. As for being controlled, I'm only toying with those two. I could break free at any time now. They may have the power of the Senju, but it isn't enough to contain me. The only reason I don't break free is because I'm enjoying myself crushing the ones who stand against me outside of this world." The Juubi responded, also bluntly. Naruto narrowed his eyes and stared at the Juubi. He didn't speak, only stared. The Juubi got impatient, waiting for him to say something. "Why do you not speak, Naruto Uzumaki?" the Juubi asked. "You're lying," Naruto stated. "What was that?" the Juubi questioned. "I know they are able to control you. If you were able to break free so easily, you would have already done it and attacked them as well by now," Naruto said. The Juubi was silent. He eyed Naruto. He then spoke. "Very perceptive. You're smarter than I gave you credit for." The Juubi complimented. "Yes, it is true. They are able to control me. For the moment. As time goes on, I grow stronger and their control weakens." "But what is your point? Speak, Naruto Uzumaki," the Juubi commanded. "My point is, you shouldn't let them control you. I want to help you. But I also want you to stop attacking all those people," Naruto stated, getting straight to the point. "Ha ha ha, you want to help me? Don't make me laugh. Oh wait, too late. Ha ha ha." Juubi roared in laughter at Naruto's comment. "Why in the hell would you want to help me? So you can just attempt to control me as well? I answer to no human. I am a being whose sole purpose to cause destruction. I am only doing what I was meant to do," the Juubi retorted. Naruto was shocked at the Juubi's sudden change in personality. The Juubi noticed this. "Oh come now. Did you honestly think I held no feeling or emotion? I am a being of destruction. I take great pleasure in causing mayhem. Last I checked, taking pleasure in something counted as feeling," the Juubi explained himself. Naruto was still stunned. Kurama had been wrong. The Juubi did have emotion. This surprised Kurama more even than it did Naruto. Still, Naruto regained his composure and answered the Juubi's previous question. "I don't want to control you at all. I feel like none of the Bijuu should be controlled. You are your own being. It's not right for you to be held captive by another. As for your purpose, I wonder about that." The Juubi stared at Naruto. He seemed confused by his words. "And just what do you mean by, you wonder about that? I mean, is that really why you are on this earth?" Naruto asked. The Juubi seemed to be confused even more now. Get to the point, boy. You try my patience. The Juubi commanded. You were sealed away by the Sage of Six Paths and then you were split into the nine-tailed beasts. Correct? The Juubi seemed to be angered by the mention of the sage. Don't remind me. I have always hated him for that. The Juubi spat. But that's just the thing. You may have been separated into 9 different forms, but they were still a part of you. They were created from you. Yet, they all were friends with the sage. He treated them like they were their own being, with their own feelings and ideals. He didn't view them as monsters. He only did what he did to you because you were causing so much pain. But I'm sure he saw you as your own being too. The only reason he sealed you away was because he knew you wouldn't listen to reason. I'm sure he didn't want to do that to you. It must have hurt him, a man who only wanted to spread peace throughout the world, to have to go to such lengths to take away your freedom. The 9-tailed beasts he created that understood that. So deep down, you had to have felt it too. Naruto said, trying to reason with the Juubi. Naruto speaks the truth, came Kurama's voice. Naruto was surprised to hear Kurama speak, and to see him appear next to him. The Sage of Six Paths, my creator, did not want things to be this way. He spoke to the 9 of us after we were created and told us that we were not monsters. But we were brothers, and that even if we were separated, we would still be connected. We knew no hate and saw no ulterior motives in his words. It was I who created hate between us. After he died, I used to think I was the strongest because I had the most tails. I tried to forcefully make myself the leader of our group. The others didn't take well to my reasoning, and I alone caused the shift in our relationship. They sought to prove their worth and power because I belittled them. It was not because it was in our nature, but because I made it a part of our nature. I see now what a fool I was. I am no more powerful than they are. We are all equals. That is what our Creator taught us before his passing. And I turned a blind eye to those teachings. I regret what I have done, and that is why I will do whatever it takes to make up for my past mistakes. Kurama, Naruto said to himself. Naruto smiled at Kurama's words. He really had changed since Naruto first knew him. Hearing what his partner said made Naruto even more confident in his words. Very well, I'll humor you for the moment. Say all of this is true. Then what is my true purpose on this planet? The Juubi asked. Think about it, Juubi. If the world was created to be inhabited by humans and other creatures alike, then why would one creature, you, be created to destroy it? I feel as though you were created to protect this world. With all the power you possess, you could easily stand up to anything, including a threat to the planet. I think the Sage of Six Paths thought that too. That's why, when he split you into the 9-tailed beasts, he preached to them to stay together and stay strong. Not just to protect one another, but to protect the world around them as well. Yes, you chose the path of destruction, but that's because you had that choice in the first place. Although, I think it was the opposite choice of what was intended of you. You had the freedom to choose your path. You are your own being. You are not weighed down by others to do their bidding. You can stop all this and fight to protect this world instead of enjoy it. Right now, Obito and Madara are trying to seal you inside one of them to control your power. So they can control the world. But that isn't something they should get to decide. You can fight with us to protect this world from them. Please, Juubi, you have to believe me. This is the right thing to do. Naruto pleaded. Kurama was proud of Naruto. He really had grown up. He had become wiser and he believed that he really could change the Juubi's views. I've heard enough. The Juubi spoke. Huh? Naruto questioned. Suddenly, a black fog appeared and it started to engulf Naruto and the 9 tails. Shit, Naruto. It didn't work. He's trying to kill us. We have to leave now. Kurama yelled to Naruto. No, I won't leave. Naruto shouted back. This took Kurama by surprise. What are you saying? Naruto, this is no time to be foolish. Do you want to die? No, I still believe in the Juubi. I won't turn back now. Naru-ga. Kurama wasn't able to finish. The black fog had already almost completely engulfed him. He could no longer see Naruto anymore. Damn it, Kurama cursed, before everything turned black. Back in the outside world, all the action had ceased. The Juubi was still and not attacking. Madara and Obito were confused and didn't know what the Juubi wasn't responding to their commands anymore. The rest of the allied shinobi forces had stopped making moves as well. They knew that Naruto had put the plan into action, and as per Shikaku's final orders, remained patient to see the outcome of his last strategy. What's going on? Did we finally lose control of the Juubi? Obito asked Madara. No. If that were the case it would have run rampant by now. No, something else is going on here, but what? Madara questioned. What's more concerning is, why have the other shinobi not taken this opportunity to attack? They know something we don't. Madara stated, assessing the situation to the best of his knowledge. Do you think it's possible they found a way to stop the Juubi's movements? Obito questioned. I don't think so. If the two of us combined could not control it for long, there's no way these weaklings could. Madara responded. Suddenly, Naruto coughed up blood. Everyone was shocked at the sudden change. Naruto began to fall backwards and collapsed to the ground. There was silence for a moment. Then Sakura was the one to break it. Naruto, she screamed. No, did he fail? Kakashi said to no one in particular. Sakura ran towards Naruto while Shikamaru, Kakashi, the rest of the Rookie Nine, and all the other shinobi in the allied forces watched on in horror. Sakura came to a sliding halt as she reached where Naruto had fallen. She checked his pulse and a look of terror plagued her face. No, this can't be. She said weakly. No, Naruto, you can't be dead. The rest of the shinobi gasped. They all couldn't believe it. Their last shot at winning this war was gone. Naruto was dead. No, Naruto, this can't be happening? Hinata said in disbelief. She started to cry. Is it really true? Is he really gone? Kakashi whispered to himself, ready to break down. This is impossible. Naruto can't die. We need him. Kiba said. Naruto, I'm so sorry. Shikamaru said sorrowfully. The rest remained speechless. They couldn't find the words to express what they were thinking. Meanwhile, Sakura was bent over, her face buried in Naruto's chest sobbing. Well, it seems we didn't have to lift a finger to kill him. He died on his own. Madara stated uncaring. It would seem so. Obito said. He stared at Naruto's lifeless body. This just proves my point. There is truly no hope in this world. He stated in an indifferent voice. Sakura was still crying on Naruto's chest. Naruto, please, you can't die now. We need you. I need you. She whispered the last part. Flashbacks played through Sakura's mind. She remembered the times when they were genin on Team 7. She remembered all the times she rejected each of Naruto's date requests. How horrible she treated him for trying to interfere with her love for Sasuke. How he was always there when she needed somebody. When she needed protecting. Even after Sasuke had left the village, he had put aside his feelings for her and promised to bring him back to the village. All so she could be happy. She then remembered all the recent times they had together. Going on missions with the new Team 7, with Sai and Captain Yamato. How she was scarred for Naruto after she saw him turn into a miniature version of the Kyuubi to take on Orochimaru. How desperately she wanted to be able to help him control himself after that. How scarred she was when Sasuke almost killed him when they found him in Orochimaru's lair. She then focused on the recent memories. When Sai told her about how Naruto couldn't tell her how he really felt because he couldn't keep his promise, to when she found him in the land of snow. How she lied about her feelings for him so she could take on the burden for him of killing Sasuke. And when she couldn't do it, and Sasuke was about to cut her down, he came to her rescue again. That's when she realized, all the things he had done for her, he had done out of love. And she found that when looking back on it, when she confessed to him in the land of snow, she wasn't lying. It had been true. It took her all this time to realize it, but she did love him. All this time, Naruto did so much for her, and it finally got through to her that Naruto was the one she wanted. Not Sasuke. It was Naruto. This caused her to cry even more now. She would never get to tell him now that she truly did love him. She would never get to go on dates with him, she would never get to kiss him, and she would never get to be with him. Oh Naruto, I'm so sorry. I was so blind. It took me all this time, but I love you. I love you so much. And now you're gone. And I'll never get to be with you. She said in between sobs. She collapsed her head into his chest again and cried even harder than before. Suddenly she felt an pulse of energy come from him. Her head shot up and she looked at him. Another pulse of energy shot out from him. Is it possible? She asked herself. She quickly checked his pulse. It was there, and his heart was beating. She suddenly felt an enormous amount of chakra inside him. Wow, what is this chakra? she said, surprised. He's alive. Naruto's alive, she shouted. Everyone, including Madara and Obito, were taken by surprise at Sakura's statement. Impossible. Obito spat. She just said he was dead. He had no pulse. Calm yourself, Obito. Even if he is alive, it doesn't matter. He is still just as weak as the rest of them. Madara stated. Obito calmed himself. Yes, you're right. Suddenly, the Juubi came to life once more. It roared and started to shake violently. Obito and Madara were hanging on for dear life. The only thing keeping them attached being the senju cells they had implanted in the Juubi's head. What the hell is going on? Obito asked, shock in his voice. I don't know. I think we've lost control. Madara stated back. Impossible. We still had plenty of control over it before. They both looked down to where Naruto was to see him standing and staring at them. His eyes showing that he was in sage mode. Sakura was on her knees next to him, looking up at him in disbelief. Naruto Uzumaki, I have chosen to believe in your words. The Juubi spoke in Naruto's mind. Thank you, Juubi. I promise I won't betray your trust. Naruto said in his head, thanking the Juubi. You did well, Kit. I should have believed in you more. Kurama said, praising Naruto. It's okay. You don't need to apologize. I can understand why you panicked. Naruto said to the Kyuubi. Naruto, take my power and use it well. Protect this world and everyone in it. The Juubi said to him. Suddenly, the Juubi began to glow in a white light that covered all its features except its silhouette. Madara and Obito panicked and jumped off the Juubi, afraid of what might happen if they stayed. Then, it split into the 7 Bijuu it had absorbed to become whole once again. They all floated in midair. What is this? What happened to the Juubi? Obito yelled. What happened was, he was tired of being controlled by you two, and decided to use his power to help put a stop to you. Naruto said, responding to Obito. What? Impossible. How do you potassium nitride? Obito stopped and realization struck him. You were able to communicate with the Juubi in its own world. That's why you, the Juubi, and the rest of the allied forces ceased your attacks. Madara deduced. Naruto simply nodded. And you were somehow able to convince it to change sides and ally itself with you. Obito finished. Correct, Naruto said. Damn you, you've ruined everything. The Moon's Eye plan can't take place without the Juubi. Obito shouted, losing control of himself. I know, and that's as it should be. There was no way I was going to let you get away with your sick and twisted ambition, Naruto said coldly. Obito growled at him. Madara kept his composure and wore his usual unimpressed expression. Sakura continued to stare at Naruto. He looked down at her and smiled softly. Thank you, Sakura. I heard everything you said. Naruto told her. He knelt down and wrapped her in a tight hug. She was taken by surprise, but hugged him back, not wanting to let go. I love you, she said to him in a whisper. I love you too, he said back to her. Now go back with everyone else. It's going to get dangerous now, and I don't want you getting hurt. He told her. She wanted to object, but she knew she would only get in the way at this point. She nodded and he released her from the hug. She went back to the rest of the group as he instructed and looked back at him. He had his back turned to her now. She smiled a little at him. Go get Naruto. She cheered for him inside her thoughts. Naruto stood silently, staring the two in front of him down. Obito looked like he was about to lose it and go berserk, while Madara was the same as ever. Naruto, came a familiar voice from above him. He looked up and saw that the Four Tails, Son Goku, was speaking to him. You've done well, now let us help you. It's time we put an end to all this fighting, Son said to him. Naruto smiled at him and nodded. Alright, let's do it, Naruto said. The Bijuu started to glow and a ray of light shot up from each of them, one at a time. They all converged in air and shot down towards Naruto. It hit him dead on and created a gust of wind that caused everyone around to brace themselves. Even Madara couldn't withstand the pressure. When the light disappeared, Naruto was still standing. He looked unchanged. After the light disappeared, all the Bijuu turned into a ray of light and shot in different directions. It's time we finished this. Your plans are shot and you have no hope of winning now, Naruto said. Screw you. Even without the Juubi, the two of us are still far more powerful than you and the rest of those shinobi combined. Obito spat. That may be true, But, how much of a chance do you think you'll stand against all 9 Jinchuriki? Said a familiar gravelly voice. What? Obito asked confused. Just then, 7 forms appeared from all different directions. Gaara stood at the front, while the remaining 6 Jinchuriki stood behind him. They had all been revived. B joined them and stood next to Gaara. He was smiling and looked confident. No, this isn't possible. How are you all alive? Obito shouted, panicking. The Bijuu returned to our bodies and brought those of us who were dead, back to life. Gaara spoke, explaining the situation. Impossible. Obito yelled. Nothing is impossible when there is still hope in this world. Naruto spoke. Obito shot his head towards Naruto. Naruto had his eyes closed now. And that hope. Naruto's closed eyes were all that could be seen now. He opened them to reveal the Triagon. A combination of the Rinnegan, Sharingan, and Byakugan is what is going to put a stop to you, once and for all. It zoomed out to reveal him, and the other Bijuu standing not too far behind him, ready for battle. Naruto stared down Obito and Madara with his new dojutsu, the Triagon. Obito was furious to say the least. You could hear his teeth grinding against each other. Madara kept his normal composure, but even he knew the upcoming battle would be difficult without the Juubi. Especially now that they had to face all 9 revived Jinchuriki with control over their respective Bijuu again. What's worse is the ones who used to be under their control still retained their one Sharingan and Rinnegan eye. Still, even with the odds against the two, Madara remained confident. It matters little that the Jinchuriki have regained possession of their Bijuu. We still far outclass them, Madara said coolly. Obito turned to face Madara. He was shocked to hear that. Are you insane? I know we're strong, but look at this. Obito says while pointing to Naruto and the other Jinchuriki. There's no way we can win now. We have no hope of winning. Obito shouted. Hope, Naruto said. Obito looked over to Naruto. What? You said, you have no hope of winning. Naruto began. But wasn't it you who said that there is no such thing as hope? That the concept of hope is nothing more than to give up? Naruto asked Obito. Obito became filled with rage. He charged at Naruto and drew a kunai. Don't you dare use my own words against me, you brat. Obito shouted towards Naruto. He lunged himself towards Naruto, his kunai aiming for his chest, but his attack was blocked by a second kunai. Although, the hand that held the second kunai didn't belong to Naruto. Your fight is not with him, Obito. Obito stared in shock and anger at the one who blocked his attack. Your fight is with me. Kakashi's Sharingan blazed with anger towards its former owner. Damn you, Kakashi. Get out of my way. I have no interest in fighting you right now. Obito said to him. Well, that's too bad, because you're not getting anywhere near Naruto until you fight me. Kakashi retorted. Obito growled at his former teammate. His eyes filled with hatred towards him. Fine, if you want to die so badly, I'll gladly grant your wish. Obito yelled at him. Alright, but if we're going to fight, it's not going to be here. This is between you and me and I'm not dragging anyone else into this. Kakashi stated. Whatever, I could care less where we fought. Wherever you choose, you'll be choosing your gravesite. We'll see about that. Follow me. Kakashi dashed off in a direction away from the main battlefield. Naruto could see where they were headed because of the Byakugan portion of his new dojutsu. He silently wished his sensei good luck with his fight. That Obito. Naruto refocused his attention to the man speaking before him. He let his emotions cloud his judgment. And now he's allowed us to be separated. He has no chance of survival now. Madara stated with no emotion. Naruto only stared at him. His arms crossed like they would be in his sage mode. Well, no matter. I'm perfectly capable of handling you all myself. Madara said confidently. Naruto was silent once more, but then spoke. Listen up everyone. He's too dangerous for you to handle. Even with the combined numbers we have. It's best you leave him to the 9 of us. We're the only ones strong enough to take him on. He commanded, directing his speech to the allied shinobi forces. Although he never turned to face them, he knew they all complied with his order from the lack of objections. The rookie 9-8 without Sasuke didn't say anything, but they all believed Naruto was going to win. Hinata, still by her late cousin's side, prayed for Naruto's safety. As did Sakura, who looked at Naruto with even more admiration than she ever had before. Okay, are you guys ready to finish this fight? Naruto asked the 8 Jinchuriki standing behind him. Ready, They all said at the same time, except for B, who added, "Fool." "Ya fool," to the end of his statement. "Gaara, you're the general. Give the order," Naruto stated towards his friend. Gaara nodded. "Alright, attack," he said forcefully. The 8 Jinchuriki jumped from behind Naruto and flew towards Madara all at once. Naruto stood behind and watched as his fellow Jinchuriki charged his most formidable foe ever. Madara didn't even acknowledge their presence. He was caught in a staring contest with Naruto. The 8 Jinchuriki were closing in on him, ready to strike. "This won't be enough," is all Madara said. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Obito were staring each other down. They were a good distance away from the main battlefield now. There was nothing to distract them. That is, until they heard a loud booming sound coming from the direction that Madara and the others were located. "Seems like they've already begun," Kakashi said. Obito was silent. He didn't take his eyes off of Kakashi. "What, you not in the mood to talk, old friend?" Kakashi tried again. "I told you before I have nothing to say to you," Obito said coldly. "I see. And you have good reason not to. I'm sorry." Kakashi apologized. "For what?" Obito asked, uninterested in his apology. "I promised I would keep her safe. But I didn't." "I know. You killed her. I saw it," Obito replied with the same uninterest. Kakashi looked shocked. "You saw? But how?" Kakashi asked, unable to believe his words. "I'm not surprised you don't know. You collapsed as soon as you did away with her." Kakashi seemed to be angered by his comment. "You don't understand. I didn't have a choice. You don't know the real reason I had to do it," Kakashi said, his voice fading. "Then please, enlighten me," Obito said. Kakashi stared at the ground for a moment, then lifted his head to face Obito. "She was a spy." "A spy, you say?" "Yes. A spy for the Hidden Mist Village. Or as it was called back then, the Bloody Mist Village." "Please, continue." "Rin and I were on a mission, and we were ambushed by Mist Anbu. Or so I thought. It was actually a trap set up for me. I was supposed to be killed, and Rin was supposed to go back to the Bloody Mist and tell them all of Konoha's secrets that she had learned over the years she had lived there." "So what you're telling me is Rin was a traitor, and you were to die that day?" "Yes. I figured it out when the Mist Anbu leader ordered her to kill me. I thought it was some enemy trick to try and turn us against each other. But when I turned to look at her, she already had a kunai out, ready to attack me, but she couldn't do it. Her arm was shaking and she looked torn. She was crying. She shook her head and said she couldn't. She couldn't bring herself to kill me. The leader of the Anbu ordered her again to do it. But she didn't. Still, she knew then that she couldn't be allowed to live. She knew that even if she didn't kill me, and we somehow managed to get out of there alive, the Leaf Village would kill her on the sole reason of her being a spy in the first place." Obito was silent this time, so Kakashi continued. She asked me to kill her instead. My mind was still reeling from everything I had just learned. But I snapped out of it when she asked me again. I was hesitant at first, but I knew her fate. She didn't want to go back, but she knew she would die either way. So, I killed her and put an end to it. I assume that's where you came in." "I guess so." "So, do you still hate me for what I did?" "Hate you? No. I'm grateful." Kakashi was shocked at his words. "You're what?" "I'm grateful I now know the truth. And that she didn't kill you." "Obito. Because now I can kill you myself." Obito shouted, his demeanor changing from calm to enraged. "What?" Kakashi yelled, unable to believe Obito's reaction. "Please, do you expect me to believe a lie like that? You shouldn't have spent more time on your cover story, Kakashi." Obito spat. "What, lies?" "Obito, I'm telling you the truth. Why would I lie about something like that? Don't play dumb. You obviously did it because you wanted the Mangekyo Sharingan. That's the only real reason I can think of. Don't be stupid, Obito. I didn't even know about the Mangekyo Sharingan at that time. But it was too late." Obito had lost all sense of reasoning. He charged at Kakashi. He tried to grab him so he could suck him into his alternate world. But Kakashi countered by throwing a kunai at his head before he could reach him. Needing to avoid being hit, Obito had to make himself phase through it, in turn, phasing through Kakashi as well. The moment he was behind him, he drew a kunai and tried to spin around and drill it into Kakashi's back. But Kakashi was able to spin around and block it with another kunai. They both jumped back and stared each other down. "I can't afford to waste chakra. If I use any techniques, he'll just pass right through them." I need to save them for when I have an opening I can exploit. For now, it'll have to be strictly hand-to-hand. Kakashi thought to himself. He thought for another moment. Obito's form has gotten sloppy though. He's blinded by rage and it's affecting his judgment as he fights. Maybe if I time it right, I can pierce him with my lightning blade. Kakashi's thoughts were interrupted as Obito began his next attack. He shot out 4 spears of wood from his right arm. Kakashi reacted quickly and went through a series of hand seals. Fire style. Fireball Justu. Kakashi yelled, as he blew a giant fireball from his mouth. The fireball burned all of the spears to ash. When the fire dissipated, Obito was gone. Kakashi looked around waringly, keeping the Sharingan moving as much as possible in hopes of catching even the slightest movement from him. Obito appeared from his other dimension, behind a boulder in the area. He was planning his next strike while Kakashi was taking his time looking for him. Obito stuck his arm into the ground and started to form another wood technique. Kakashi couldn't seem to pick up any trace of him. Suddenly, the ground beneath him began to shake. "Got you now," Obito said from his hiding spot. Large wooden pillars shot out from the ground and surrounded Kakashi. There was nowhere for him to run. "Shit, he got me," Kakashi cursed. Obito appeared by the wooden pillars. "You got careless, Kakashi. And now it will cost you your life. And as a prize for killing you, I think I'll take my eye back," he said nonchalantly. "Obito, for the last time, I'm telling you the truth. It doesn't have to be like this," Kakashi said, trying to reason with him. "Oh yes it does," Obito said. He put his hands together and wooden spears came out of the pillars and impaled Kakashi from all directions. Obito smirked at the sound of his former friend being stabbed to death by his attack. He let his hands fall to his sides and the wooden pillars began to sink back into the ground. He saw Kakashi's lifeless body lying on the ground in front of him. But something seemed wrong. There was no blood. Then it hit him. A clone? The clone began to turn to mud and sink into the ground as well. Obito looked furious that he was so easily fooled by a simple trick. He looked around for the real Kakashi. Suddenly, he heard the sound of birds chirping above him. He looked up to see Kakashi flying straight down towards him with his lightning blade streaking behind him. Obito just stood there, waiting for Kakashi to attack. Kakashi thrust his hand forwards and right through Obito. Literally. Obito used his ability to phase through the attack and stepped back. Kakashi's hand had hit the ground and got stuck in it. He tried pulling it out, but to no avail. "No, damn it," Kakashi yelled, still trying to pull his hand out of the ground. "HMPH. How foolish. You should know a frontal assault won't work on me," Obito taunted as he walked over to Kakashi. Kakashi looked scared and frantically tried to pull his hand out even more now. But it wouldn't budge. "Your foolishness will cost you your life," Obito said. Obito slowly reached his hand out to grab Kakashi. Kakashi could only look on in fear as Obito took hold of his shoulder. "It's over now," Obito told him. "You're right, it is," Kakashi said back. A hand filled with lightning chakra burst from the ground and along with it came another Kakashi. Obito had no time to react as he was impaled from behind by Kakashi. His hand sticking out from Obito's chest, while the lightning still chirped. The Kakashi Obito had his hand on disappeared in a poof of smoke. Obito coughed up blood. "Damn you, Kakashi," Obito said weakly. Kakashi could be seen from behind Obito, crying. Meanwhile, back on the main battlefield, the Jinchuriki and Madara were locked in battle. Madara was on the defensive. Although, he didn't seem to be worried. Gaara and B were leading the assault. Gaara's sand was chasing after him, while B turned his arm into tentacles to try and capture Madara. As Madara was jumping back, Yugito, the two-tails Jinchuriki, charged him from behind. She extended her nails into long claws. She attempted to swipe at him, but he was able to plant his feet and vault into the air, avoiding her strike. He looked up to see Roshi, the four-tails Jinchuriki, performing a set of hand signs. Roshi then spit multiple lava balls towards Madara. Madara sped through his own hand signs and blew multiple dragon-shaped fireballs to counter the lava balls. Normally, a lava ball would overtake a fireball, but due to Madara's immense strength, they cancelled each other out. "Pathetic," Madara stated towards Roshi's effort. However, Madara did not expect Roshi to attack him head-on. Roshi had cloaked himself in his lava armor and caught Madara off guard as he punched him in the stomach, plummeting him back down to the ground. Madara crashed hard into the ground, and left a small crater where he landed. Madara stood with ease as the injury regenerated slowly. "It's going to take a lot more than that to beat me," Madara said. "Well then, try this." "Fu!" the Seven Tails Jinchuriki shouted. Fu took in a deep breath and exhaled a sparkling substance so bright, it blinded him momentarily. When he regained his vision, he saw that Utakata, the Six Tails Jinchuriki, and Han, the Five Tails Jinchuriki, had transformed into their tailed beast state, and were charging up a tailed beast bomb. They fired them at him and Madara only had a second to react. "Almighty push," Madara said. Madara stood completely still, but the tailed beast bombs shot back at the two Jinchuriki after being repelled. They were each able to swat a bomb away with one of their tails and send it a safe distance away from the allied shinobi forces. "I've grown tired of these games," Madara stated. Naruto watched Madara with caution. With the way things were going now, it seemed like he may have to join the battle after all. Then Madara spoke again. "It's time I put an end to this." Madara then summoned his Susanoo, a sight which sent fear through the shinobi forces. Naruto stared in awe and knew that now, without a doubt, he would have to take action. "This is the beginning of the end for all of you," Madara said. Naruto was in awe at the sight of Madara's Susanoo. It rivaled the size of the Kyuubi itself when Naruto was in full fox mode. But the power he felt coming from it, it seemed to have the same strength as a Jinchuriki. Naruto knew that even with the combined strength of all the other Jinchuriki, they didn't stand a chance unless Naruto fought as well. "Hey, Kurama, I hope you've replenished your chakra. 'Cause I need it now," Naruto told Kurama. "You're in luck then. I've been ready for a while now. I've just been waiting on your signal," the Kyuubi replied. Naruto let out a sigh of relief. "You have no idea how happy I am to hear that." "Ah, what's the matter? Does the big bad Susanoo want to make Naruto wet himself?" Kurama joked. "To hell with you, jerk. I'm not afraid, I just need your help," Naruto screamed, infuriated by Kurama's sense of humor. Hee, relax kid. I'm just screwing with ya. I'm more than ready when you are." "Okay, thanks. Get ready." "You know Kurama, I'd say you're the one who wet himself. I mean the floor in my subconscious is completely wet. If you catch my drift," Naruto said to Kurama, smirking to himself. "Keywords, my subconscious," Kurama retorted. Naruto paused for a minute trying to make sense of what Kurama just said. "Hey, why you, ga?" Naruto screamed in his head. "Face it kid, you're too many hundreds of years young to outwit me," Kurama said, rubbing it in. Naruto mumbled to himself angrily. His focus, however, snapped back to the task at hand. "We can settle this later. Let's go." "Right." But just before Naruto could gather the Kyuubi's chakra, a hand grabbed his. He turned to see Sakura looking at him with tears in her eyes, but a look of determination in them. "I want to fight with you," she said in a soft but firm voice. Naruto blinked a couple of times. "Sakura, it's way too dangerous for you to be here. You and the rest of the alliance need to get out of here now," Naruto said in a calm and concerned voice. Sakura shook her head. "I'm not leaving you no matter what you say. I want to fight too, and I want to fight alongside you. Sakura, I can't risk losing you. Too many people have already died for me. Even Neji, I can't let you. I won't die as long as I'm with you. You're the one who's going to save the world. And I'm going to be right beside you while you do it." She squeezed Naruto's hand tighter. "As long as I'm with you, I know I'll be safe," she said lovingly. Naruto didn't say anything for a moment. He only looked at her. Her eyes seemed to be begging to let her stay. Naruto sighed. "All right, but don't leave my side," he said. Sakura wrapped him in a tight hug. "Never," she responded. Naruto smiled for a brief second, but then got serious again. "Kurama," was all he said. "You got it kid," was Kurama's reply. Sakura was startled to feel her feet lift off the ground. She realized she was floating inside of Naruto's full Bijuu mode. She was still holding onto him, afraid to let go at the fear of her falling if she did. She held Naruto tighter and Naruto seemed to notice Sakura's fear. "It's okay Sakura, you won't fall, I promise," Naruto reassured her. Sakura nodded and hesitantly let go of Naruto. But she still held his hand. True to his word, Sakura stayed afloat inside Naruto's Bijuu mode. She felt safe being with him. She would rather be nowhere else right now than by his side. "Thank you, Naruto," she said to him. For what?" he asked. "For trusting me and letting me fight with you." He grinned at her and rubbed the back of his head. "Well, you're kinda hard to turn down," he joked. Sakura giggled and they both faced Madara. "You ready, Sakura?" Naruto asked her. "Yeah, let's kick his ass," she stated. Kakashi was sitting on a rock by Obito's now dead body. His tears had dried, but the look of sadness remained plastered to his face. He recalled his last few moments with his former teammate and best friend. Flashback. Kakashi pulled his hand out of Obito's body, spilling fresh blood as he did. Obito dropped to his knees and then collapsed to the ground. How could I lose?" Obito asked, coughing up more blood. "You let your hatred for me consume you. You weren't yourself when we fought. There was no way you could have won." Kakashi explained. That's just like you. Acting all high and mighty. "Tell me something, Kakashi." "Anything, old friend. Were you really telling the truth? Was Rin really a spy?" Obito managed to ask. "I would never lie to you about something like that when it came to her," is all Kakashi said in response. "I see, and she really asked you to kill her?" he asked once more. "Yes. She would rather it have been by my hands, than at the hands of the village. This way, she could at least die as a ninja of the hidden leaf, instead of as a traitor to the village she had grown to love." Obito remained silent for a while, trying to take in the information and the reality about the girl he loved. "I'm sorry, Kakashi," he finally said. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I should have known you never would have done that without a good reason. It must have been heartbreaking for you to have done that. Because of this, I inflicted pain upon the world to ease my own. Now, I realize how foolish I was. Obito, listen to me, Madara must be stopped. If he isn't, then I'll never be able to relieve the guilt I feel for all that I've done. We will stop him, I promise. Thank you. His weakness is his eyes. You have to take them out of the picture. They're his greatest strength, but also his greatest weakness. Really? But how do you know this? After the incident when you thought I had died, Madara saved me. He was old and only surviving off of a life support source. He infused my body with Hiroshima's cells and was able to reconstruct the part of it that was crushed. He coughed up blood but continued. When you live with someone for that many years, you tend to notice these kinds of things. So please, he coughed again. Stop him. Don't let him destroy this world you all strive to protect. Obito said, his voice becoming more strained as he neared his end. I see now, thank you Obito. I won't let your last wish be for nothing. Goodbye, my friend, Kakashi said, as fresh tears started to fall from his eyes. Obito smiled. He knew he could count on Kakashi. He mentally thanked him once more. He let out a long sigh as everything went black, and he passed on. End flashback. Kakashi stared at his friend's body. A new determination flowing through him. The wind blew gently, blowing leaves around Obito's body, before they were carried away into the sky. Obito, when this is over, I promise I'll give you a proper burial, was all Kakashi said, before he raced back to rejoin the main battle. Naruto and Madara had already begun their battle. Madara was once again on the defensive. Naruto had been attacking with a barrage of punches from the chakra hands he had produced. Madara's Susanoo blocked every punch with ease. Naruto, it's not working. You need to try something else, Sakura said. Naruto took Sakura's advice and changed tactics. Instead of punching it, he used two chakra hands to grab Susanoo and hold it in place. Madara wasn't expecting this. Taking this moment as the best opportunity, Naruto charged up a tailed beast bomb. Sakura, hold on tight to me. The recoil's gonna be a little rough, Naruto told her. She did as she was told and held on to Naruto as tight as she could. Susanoo tried to break free from Naruto's grasp, but the more it struggled, the more hands grabbed it. Damn this pest, Madara cursed in his usual demeanor. The bomb was fully charged and all of a sudden, Susanoo and Madara were being yanked towards the Kurama look-alike. Alright, fire? Naruto yelled. As soon as Madara and Susanoo were a few feet away, the bomb was let loose and impacted. Naruto had released his grip on Susanoo and jumped back to avoid the aftermath of the attack. Just as Naruto predicted, the recoil caused a massive shockwave and Sakura was almost blown away if it weren't for her strong grip on Naruto. They landed a good distance away from where Madara was and watched as the smoke started to clear. Did we do it? Sakura asked. It's gonna take a lot more than that to bring him down, Sakura. Naruto said. Yes it will. Look there. Kurama pointed out. The smoke cleared to reveal a slightly injured Susanoo. Some of it had reverted to its skeleton-like state. It was shielding Madara with its body to protect him from the blast. I must say, that attack packed quite a punch, Madara said from behind Susanoo. Susanoo moved from covering Madara and took its usual place behind him once more. He was unscathed thanks to its protection. To be able to damage my Susanoo to that extent is no easy task. I commend you, he continued to say. However, it will take a lot more than that to bring my Susanoo down. Especially if you want to get to me. Naruto cursed under his breath. He knew that he couldn't keep his Bijuu mode active for that long. So far, he could only keep it up for 8 minutes. He and Kurama would need to establish a better connection with each other first in order to lengthen that time. But with the way things were right now, that would be difficult. He suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked over to Sakura who was smiling warmly at him. Don't give up, you'll find a way, you always do. As long as I'm here with you, you have my strength. She told him. Sakura? He stared at her for a moment and then smiled. Thank you. He placed his hand on the hand that was on his shoulder. As long as you're here, I know we will win. He said to her, you two done yet? I can't fight if you two make me sick with your lovey-dovey crap. Kurama interrupted. Sakura blushed heavily and had an embarrassed look on her face, while Naruto looked completely livid. Shut up you ass, we're trying to have a moment here, Naruto said to his partner. Naruto, it's okay, Sakura said, laughing nervously. You can have all the moments you want after we win this war. Until then, stay focused or else we're all gonna die, Kurama said nonchalantly. Alright I get it, Naruto said pouting. Sakura giggled at his childish act. That's something she knew would never change, even when his life was on the line in an important battle like this. It made her feel safe, because it showed Naruto had confidence that they were going to win. And she believed they would no matter what. Okay, let's go Sakura. Kurama, Naruto said. Right, Sakura shouted. Right, Kurama shouted next. Don't think I'm going to let you keep doing as you want. Madara interrupted. Naruto and Sakura refocused their attention on Madara. Their look was serious, as if their previous conversation never happened. Don't get too overconfident just because you were able to damage my Susanoo. You aren't the first one to do so. And even he didn't have an easy time defeating it. Madara explained. He? Who's he? Naruto questioned. The first Hokage of course. Madara replied. Of course, even with the help of the Kubi, you're still nowhere near as strong as he was. So really, you have no chance of winning. Madara finished. It's true that I may not be as strong as the first was, but I will be Hokage someday. And I will surpass the first. I'll be the greatest Hokage to ever live. And I'm gonna prove that, by winning this war, and taking you down. Naruto stated confidently. Madara was silent for a moment, taking in what Naruto had said. He then chuckled. I admire your determination, Naruto Uzumaki. Very well. If you truly believe you can stop me, then come. Let us finish this once and for all. Madara said, indulging Naruto. Madara's Susanoo drew its sword, the same sword it used to slice apart mountains while fighting the 5 Kage. That sword looks dangerous. Better watch out for it. Although, I can't let it stray off, or it'll injure the people behind us. Naruto thought to himself. Yes, don't take it lightly. That sword has the power to slice even mountains in a single strike. We can't handle too many hit from that thing. Kurama added. So what do we do then? We can't let the allied forces get hurt. But if we take a direct hit from that thing, we might not survive. Naruto said concerned. It may seem troublesome, but nothing is impossible. You of all people have taught me that. We will find a way to win. Just as you said. After all, you never go back on your word. Kurama said reassuringly. Naruto smiled at Kurama's words. He was right. He always kept his promises, and he didn't intend to stop now. Prepare yourselves, Madara said. Naruto and Sakura got ready for the next round. Susanoo raised its sword above its head slowly. It then swung down at them with all its might. Even though Susanoo was gigantic, the speed in which it swung its sword was incredible. Reacting instantly, Naruto summoned 5 chakra arms to try and stop the sword. Each hand clapped together on the sides of the sword and stopped it. However, in doing so, it caused Naruto's Kyuubi form to sink into a small crater that was caused by the impact. Naruto and Sakura jolted a little due to the shockwave the block caused. A large gust of wind blew back towards the allied forces, causing some to fly backwards. Most Earth-style users were able to form a row of giant rock walls to protect against the strong backlash of wind. No one was killed, but there were some that were injured. Impressive. You were even able to stop Susanoo's sword. Perhaps I slightly underestimated you, however. Madara stated. Susanoo began to put more pressure in trying to force the sword down. Naruto flinched and could feel Susanoo beginning to overpower him. The chakra Kyuubi was forced to take one knee while attempting to stop the sword from coming down any further. Shit, this isn't good. He's overpowering us and we've almost reached our time limit. Naruto inwardly cursed. Come now Naruto. Is this all the strength you possess? If so, I fear for this world. Madara taunted. Shut up. We're not going down that easily. Naruto responded. Naruto managed to make another chakra arm and use it to attack Susanoo while it couldn't defend itself. Seeing no other option, Madara and Susanoo jumped back to avoid the hit, freeing Naruto from Susanoo's sword and being able to ready himself for his next attack. Although, Madara wasted no time in making Susanoo make a horizontal slash in his direction. Naruto was able to make the chakra Kyuubi duck just in time from taking the hit and charged forward. Predictable, Madara thought. However, he didn't expect this next move. Naruto made the hand sign for the shadow clone technique. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Naruto yelled. In a giant poof of smoke, what looked to be like 100 Narutos came flying towards Madara and Susanoo. All of which activated their miniature Kyuubi mode, and began to form mini-tailed beast bombs. Shit, Madara cursed in his head. Susanoo was still resetting itself from its previous attack, so there wouldn't be enough time to counter Naruto's attack. Taking the opening while they still had it, the Naruto clones unleashed their bombs simultaneously, all aiming for Susanoo and connecting. The impact caused Susanoo and Madara to stagger backwards and Madara to shield his eyes from the smoke and dust the impact caused. When he was able to see again, he saw a single Naruto clone charging him with a Rasengan formed, ready to strike. It won't be that easy, Madara said. Madara flew through some hand signs and clasped his hands together. Before the Naruto clone could reach Madara, a tree shot out of the ground and hit him, causing him to disappear. Madara then heard the whirling of another Rasengan above him. He looked up to see another Naruto clone flying down towards him. He was barely able to dodge the attack by jumping backwards. The Rasengan impacted with the ground and created a small crater. Madara then kicked the clone away, causing it to also disappear. Not bad, Naruto Uzumaki. You're more clever than I gave you credit for, Madara thought. CRAAP. The real Naruto shouted while putting his hand up to his head. I thought I had him, he said. He closed his eyes as a stream of tears started flowing from them. His lower lip was quivering and he made low whimpering sounds to voice his disappointment. Sakura looked at him with a look of embarrassment and annoyance. And I'm in love with this guy, she thought to herself. Don't sweat it, I have to deal with him every day. You've got it easy, Kurama said telepathically to her. I'm so sorry, she said back to him. You learn to live with it, he responded. By that time, Naruto was back to being serious and ready to fight again. Although, he figured that he only had about a minute left to fight in that form. Kurama, Naruto said telepathically. I know Kit, we're running out of time. Although, I think we might be able to hold it for at least another 2 minutes. I feel like our bond keeps increasing with each passing moment. Every time you attack, I attack and we synchronize our power to complete the attack. If that's the case, we may be able to use this mode a little longer. Kurama told him. Naruto realized what Kurama was saying was true. He did feel like they were more in sync now. And if that was true, maybe they could hold out a little longer. Alright then, we better not waste any of that time then. Let's go, Naruto said. Naruto, came a voice from behind him. Naruto and Sakura looked back to see Kakashi standing at the front of the allied forces. Kakashi-sensei, did you beat Obito? Naruto asked him. Yes, And he told me Madara's weakness. Really? What is it? It's his eyes. If we take those out of the picture, he won't be able to fight anymore. His eyes, I see. Sakura said. His greatest strength is his greatest weakness. She added. Naruto grinned at Kakashi and gave him a thumbs up. Thanks Kakashi-sensei. Now we know what to aim for. Naruto shouted, thanking him. Kakashi's eyes smiled and gave him a thumbs up in return. Alright Naruto. Make me proud and win this war. Kakashi said. You bet. Naruto replied enthusiastically. Just because you know my weakness, doesn't mean you'll be able to do anything about it. Madara said, interrupting Naruto and his sensei. Naruto turned back to Madara and smirked at him. You should know not to underestimate me by now. I will beat you, and I will win this war. Just you wait. Naruto responded. Then prove it with your actions. Not your words. Madara said back. I will. And I think it's about time I gave my new eyes a try. Naruto retorted. Naruto and Madara locked stares. Each ready to put an end to this war. But only one can be the victor. One can save the world, the other can destroy it. The finale is about to begin. Naruto and Madara stared each other down, observing the other, looking for any sorts of openings. One with the Rinnegan, the other with the Triagon. There was an eerie silence on the battlefield. Only the wind could be heard. The allied forces stared on in anticipation. The battle they had witnessed so far had been spectacular and frightening all at the same time. Naruto was the first one to speak. Everyone listen. I need all of you to stay a safe distance away from the battle. I can't guarantee that I will be able to protect every one of you while I'm fighting. Gaara complied with the request. You heard him. Everyone fall back at once. The allied forces began withdrawing to a safe distance at the orders of their general. Each thinking a similar thought. For Naruto to do his best and end the war. Naruto felt relieved seeing that they had withdrawn, although, his focus never left Madara. He was able to see them through his Byakugan portion of his eyes. Even if they retreat, it is only a matter of time before I destroy them as well. Madara commented. Not gonna happen. Naruto calmly retorted. We shall see. You may have these new eyes, but, do you have the skill to use them properly? Madara asked. I guess we'll find out, won't we? Naruto asked back. Indeed. Very well. Let's end this, shall we? I'm ready when you are. Naruto and Sakura stared at Madara for another few seconds. Then, Naruto brought forth 4 chakra arms that shot towards Madara's Susanoo. Madara didn't seem to be worried. And with good reason. His Susanoo dodged all 4 arms and cut each of them. Damn it. It looks like it's found out how to dodge them. Naruto cursed. What do we do now, Naruto? Sakura asked. Don't worry. I'll figure something out. He reassured her. I'm afraid I won't give you the time to. Madara said. He charged at them and his Susanoo followed. Naruto didn't flinch. He kept his cool and watched for an opening. Madara was within striking distance when something caught his eye. Is he trying to use? Madara questioned. Black flames started to form around Susanoo and Madara's suspicions were dead on. Susanoo started to flail around trying to extinguish the fire. Still, Madara wasn't worried. Before the black flames could seriously hurt Susanoo, he put them out. Then, out of nowhere, Naruto's Bijuu form appeared suddenly and punched Madara's Susanoo, causing it to fall to the ground. That was just the opening I needed. Naruto thought to himself. Nice work Naruto. Sakura said. Thanks, but it won't be that easy. I gotta keep up the pressure. Naruto replied. Well, whatever you're gonna do, I suggest you do it soon. We won't be able to hold this form much longer. Kurama chimed in. Don't worry. Even if we lose this form, I have a backup plan. Naruto said. Alright, I'll take your word for it, Kit. Naruto formed 2 extra chakra arms and held down all 4 of Susanoo's limbs. He brought the mouth of the 9 tails close to its face and began charging a tailed beast bomb. Almighty push, was all Madara said. The Bijuu form was repelled from Susanoo and landed a few feet away. Damn, I forgot he could do that too. Naruto said as he got up. Sakura, are you okay? He asked concerned. I'm fine Naruto. Don't worry about me, she said. I'm fine too, jackass. Kurama joked. What makes you think I care about you? Naruto joked back. Don't make me take my powers away from you. Kurama replied. I'll be quiet now. Naruto said saddened. Get ready Naruto. He's about to attack. Sakura warned him. Susanoo was still getting back on its feet, while Madara was going through hand signs. Wood style. Wood dragon. Madara pronounced. The ground started to rumble and then, 2 wood dragons appeared out of the ground. They hurled themselves towards Naruto and Sakura. Naruto was still trying to get the 9 tails Bijuu mode standing back up. He wouldn't have time to counter it with it, so he opted for a different solution. Almighty push, he shouted. The 2 wood dragons were sent flying back and destroyed due to the force of the push. Not bad. It seems you do possess some control of those eyes. Madara complimented. Save it, I don't need your praise. Naruto shot back. Naruto didn't hesitate to go on the offensive again. Susanoo was back up and was headed for a clash with Naruto's Bijuu 9 tails form. Naruto made a shadow clone so it could take on Madara on ground level. Susanoo raised its sword to strike, while the 9 tails form began forming another tailed beast bomb. Naruto's clone and Madara had begun to charge at each other as well. They opted to save their chakra and engage in taijutsu. The clone tried a roundhouse kick but Madara stopped it with his hand. Madara aimed to punch the clone with his free hand, but the clone brought its arms up into an X shape to block it from getting through. The clone jumped free from Madara's grip on its leg. Each could see what move the other was going to make thanks to the clone's Sharingan and Madara's Rinnegan. Meanwhile, Susanoo had swung its sword down towards Naruto and Sakura, and the Bijuu form fired its bomb. The 2 objects collided and the result was a stalemate. The bomb exploded when it touched the sword, and the sword was pushed back from the impact. Damn it, I'm sorry Naruto, but our time's up. I hope your backup plan works while I restore my chakra again. Kurama said. Don't worry, I've got it covered for now. Rest and get your chakra back. Naruto replied. Okay, don't go dying on me. With that, Kurama had cut off the connection between him and Naruto for the time being, causing the tailed beast mode to dissolve as well. Naruto also lost his mini-tailed beat mode as well, turning him back to normal. He and Sakura landed safely on the ground. What do we do now, Naruto? Sakura asked. Don't worry, just because Kurama is gone for now, doesn't mean we don't have a way of fighting back. Naruto said, smiling at her. What do you mean? She asked, confused. Without answering, 3 giant smoke clouds appeared behind him. Sakura looked back in shock to see that Gamabunta, Gamahiro, and Gamaken had been summoned. Hey brat, couldn't go one battle without our help, could you? Gamabunta joked at Naruto. And here I thought you'd be itching to fight, boss. I can always send you back. Naruto said, smirking at Gamabunta. Nah, we're here now, so we'll fight. What do you need us to do? He asked. I need you 3 to hold off Susanoo for a while. Just until Kurama can gather enough chakra for me to use my Bijuu mode again. Naruto explained. I will try my best. Although, it will be very ungraceful. Gamaken said. Gamahiro nodded in agreement, and Gamabunta stared at Madara's Susanoo. It won't be easy, but we'll do our best, he assured Naruto. Thanks guys, Naruto said. The 3 toads leapt into action against Susanoo and began to separate it from Madara by attacking it with their weapons. He turned his attention to Sakura next. Sakura, listen very carefully. I need you to do everything you can to protect me. I'm going to go into Sage mode so I have more of a fighting chance against Madara. Okay Naruto. I promise I won't let anything near you, she said, determined to protect him. Thank you Sakura. He sat on the ground and assumed his meditation stance. Sakura stood next to him, making sure there was nothing coming for them. Madara and Naruto's clone were still fighting. Naruto still had some of the Kyuubi's chakra left over from when he was summoned, so he was still able to keep pace with Madara. Neither had landed a single blow on the other yet, so they both decided it was time to use their Jutsu. Madara had started performing hand signs. Naruto could tell the Jutsu was going to be fire style, using the Sharingan portion of his eyes to watch Madara's hand signs. Fire style. Grand Fireball Jutsu, Madara said, as he blew a giant fireball from his mouth. Naruto's clone used Amaterasu to counter the fireball and the 2 fire sources collided. They seemed to be evenly matched, but the Amaterasu began to slowly eat away at the fireball. Suddenly, Naruto's clone spun around and kicked away a wood clone Madara had created. It was able to see it thanks to the Byakugan portion of its eyes. HMPH. Forgot the little brat could see like that, Madara said in a monotone voice. Amaterasu had completely burned away Madara's fireball by then, and he in turn, put those flames out as well. Madara then noticed that Naruto was sitting on the ground, with only Sakura to guard him. The fool, does he really think that weak girl can protect him? Madara then dashed towards them, passing Naruto's clone, who chased after him. Shit, he found out. Sakura cursed. She assumed a battle stance in front of Naruto, ready to protect him. Pathetic. Madara mumbled. He then felt himself being kicked in the face. He flew off to the side from the kick Naruto's clone had just landed on him. Thank you, Naruto, Sakura said relieved. No problem. Is he ready yet? The clone asked. She shook her head. Not yet, but he should be any second now. Alright, I'll keep holding him off till he's ready. But you need to be ready too if he beats me. With that, the clone ran after Madara who was just getting up. Nice kick, brat, but don't get cocky, Madara said. Naruto's clone just kept rushing Madara. Then, it seemed to grow 2 extra arms. Madara was momentarily shocked at this change as the clone removed one of its hands and began shooting missiles at him. Madara had to jump backwards to avoid being hit. While distracted, the clone formed a cannon from its other arm and fired a powerful chakra blast at him. Madara had to think fast and used the power of absorption the Rinnegan provided him to prevent him from taking a direct hit. Madara observed the clone carefully after absorbing the blast and smiled. It seems you've used up the last of your Bijuu chakra. Madara was right. The Naruto clone was now panting and reverting back to a normal clone. It reverted from its Asura path knowing that Madara would only absorb any chakra blasts he fired at him. You may wield those eyes well, but without your Bijuu mode, you're weak. Madara coldly stated. The clone put up a defensive stance but it was no use. Madara quickly dashed towards him with blinding speed and landed a punch to its gut. The clone let out a painful gasp and was sent flying forward. It disappeared within seconds of being launched. Now then, Madara said as he turned himself to face Naruto and Sakura. Will you be fighting me yourself this time? He asked Naruto. Sakura was glaring daggers at Madara but he was unfazed. His attention was directed at the boy standing next to her. He stood there with his arms crossed and the outer portion of his eyes turned orange. His pupils had elongated indicating he had achieved Sage mode. I wouldn't have it any other way, Naruto said back. Meanwhile, Madara's Susanoo and the 3 giant toads were engaged in a fierce fight. Although, even while outnumbered, Susanoo seemed to be in control of the battle. Gamabunta leapt into the air preparing for a downward slash on Susanoo. It was distracted only for a split second, but realized that he was a diversion and anticipated Gamahiro's sneak attack from behind it. Susanoo spun around in time to block Gamahiro's twin sword slash with its own sword. Gamabunta took this as an opportunity to strike. He brought his giant knife down to slash it, but Susanoo brought out its other 2 arms and caught the blade in its palms by the sides of it. This left its back wide open and Gamaken took a swing at it. However, Susanoo twisted Gamabunta's blade and tossed him to the side, and kicked Gamahiro away and was able to dodge the attack. The 3 toads had Susanoo surrounded in a triangular formation, but were obviously tired. Damn it, does this guy have any weaknesses or what? We can't tough him, Gamabunta said frustrated. I'm sorry. Because I am ungraceful, I was not able to land that last attack. Gamaken apologized. Well, we can't give up. Naruto is counting on us. We can't allow Susanoo to remerge with Madara. Gamahiro said determined not to let Naruto down. You're right, we weren't much help in his battle against Pain. That bastard knocked all 3 of us out in one move. I'm not going down so easily this time, Gamabunta said with new resolve. Gamabunta then built up for his attack. He sucked in a lot of air and held it in for a few seconds. Water bullet, he shouted. He hit his belly repeatedly sending giant water bullets towards Susanoo. It cut every single one with its sword, but Gamabunta wasn't finished. He jumped straight towards Susanoo ready to stab it. The other 2 toads joined the rush and prepared for their own attack. With no way to block all 3 strikes at the same time, Susanoo grasped its sword tightly with both hands and spun around in a circular motion with its blade outstretched. The 3 toads had no choice but to block. Gamabunta held his knife to the side of him to prevent himself from being cut and jumped back. Gamaken blocked the strike with his shield and staggered backwards a bit. Gamahiro was able to block with both his swords and stand his ground. He then took the opportunity to make a counter-attack. He pushed Susanoo's sword to the side, causing it to lose its balance momentarily, and aimed for its chest area with one of his swords. It was a direct hit, but because Susanoo had a sturdy defense, it only made a small cut. "You've gotta be kidding me. That was a perfect hit. Is it really that durable?" Gamabunta asked, surprised. Susanoo seemed unfazed for the most part and regained its balance. It aimed another strike in Gamahiro, who jumped to the side to avoid the attack. "The Nine Tails better restore its chakras soon. I don't know how much longer we can hold out," Gamabunta thought to himself. While Gamabunta and the others were fighting Susanoo, Naruto and Madara's fight had already begun once again. "Fire style. Great fire annihilation," Madara shouted. Madara took in a deep breath and blew out what looked to be like a giant flamethrower. It then started to spread into a massive wall of fire. Naruto ran as fast as he could to avoid it, but Madara was right on his tail. Finally, Madara had to stop the jutsu to take a breath. Naruto used this chance to try a counter-attack. He dashed towards Madara and created two shadow clones. They each formed a Rasengan in each of Naruto's hands. The Rasengan started at normal size, then grew into two massive-sized ones. Madara stood his ground and prepared for the attack. Naruto stretched out his arms once he was in range. "Giant Rasen Barrage," Naruto yelled. Madara lifted both hands and started to absorb the Rasengan. He was shocked to see Naruto smirking. He then heard a Rasengan behind him. One of the clones was just about to strike, but Madara was ready. "Almighty push," he said. Naruto and his clone were repelled backwards and the clone dispersed once it hit the ground. The real Naruto recovered quickly though and countered. "Universal pull," Naruto shouted. Madara was surprised to see that he was being pulled towards Naruto so easily. He couldn't break free from his grasp. Just as soon as Madara was about to reach Naruto, the one remaining clone appeared and punched him square in the face using its Sage-enhanced strength. Madara is sent spiraling backwards again and skips across the dirt a few times before stopping. He then stood up and faced Naruto once more. "I must say, I haven't had a fight like this in a long time. The only one who's ever been able to put up this much of a fight was the first Hokage," Madara said, complimenting Naruto. "And you're just as tough as the legends say." Naruto complimented back. "Kurama, how much longer? I can't keep Sage Mode up forever. And Chief Toad and the others don't look like they can hold out much longer. I should be ready in about 5 minutes. Do whatever you can to give me that much time. You're doing great so far. Alright, let me know as soon as you're ready. I can't use Rasen Shuriken or he'll just absorb it. That would just waste my chakra and force me to revert too soon," Naruto said to himself. "Now would be a really good time for me to use Genjutsu on him with the Sharingan portion of my eyes, if I didn't suck so much at Genjutsu. Plus he would easily break free. I'll have to rely on close combat and hope I can land a few hard hits." "What's wrong? Lost your nerve already?" Murata asked mockingly. "Hardly," Naruto shouted as he rushed forward towards Madara, his clone following close behind. Madara lifted both his arms and shot multiple wooden needles towards the two. The clone jumped to the front and repelled them using the almighty push, but Madara kept firing, knowing that there was a time limit to where it could use the technique again. Both Naruto resorted to dodging, weaving smoothly past any needles that flew at them. Madara saw this wasn't working and stopped firing and instead slammed his palms on the ground and created a few trees roots that looked to counter Naruto's advance. Both Naruto and his clone jumped and bounced off the roots and continued their charge. "Persistent pests," Madara said, annoyed. Giving up on any different techniques, Madara began to charge them himself. The real Naruto and Madara were headed for a collision clash. Both with their fists cocked back, ready to strike. They shot their arms forward, resulting in a hard fist bump that sent a shockwave through the ground from the force of the attack. Naruto ducked and tried to sweep Madara's feet with a spin kick, but Madara jumped up, avoiding the hit. Naruto's clone was already within inches of Madara and sent a punch flying at his face again. However, Madara was able to bring his arms up and block this time. He was sent a few feet back and landed upright. The fact that he isn't making another clone to help attack either means he can't or he's conserving chakra. Which means, if I take out his clone, it'll be easier to land a hit. Madara thought. Naruto and his clone had begun another assault, dashing towards Madara again. Madara formed the hand seals for another technique. Fire style. Great Fireball Jutsu. He blew a giant fireball at the two, causing them to jump to either side to avoid it. Perfect, Madara stated. He dashed towards the clone, which was still in the air from dodging. It didn't expect to see Madara coming and took a roundhouse kick to the rib cage. It disappeared after being sent flying a few feet. Shit, it was just a distraction to separate us. Naruto cursed. Aren't you the perceptive one? Madara mocked. He had appeared behind Naruto while he was distracted. Naruto's eyes widened as he tried to spin around and counter any move Madara made, but he wasn't fast enough. Madara punched him in the stomach as he was spinning around, causing Naruto to gag. He then kicked his cheek and sent him crashing to the ground a few feet away. You okay? Kurama asked. Yeah, I'm alright, Naruto replied. Good, cuz it looked like you got your ass kicked. My mistake, you bastard. The second I beat this guy, I'm coming for you. Naruto yelled at his partner. Look out, Kurama warned. Naruto looked up in time to see Madara try to stab him with a wooden spear. He rolled out of the way just before the spear could hit him and jumped to his feet. Before he could get his guard up, however, Madara had already begun to attack again. Naruto had to jump and dodge to avoid getting hit when he suddenly made an error in judgment and jumped right into a trap set by a wood clone. The clone was about to stab him in the back when suddenly, a fist with a black leather glove punched it in on the cheek and smashed its head to pieces. Naruto was shocked to see that Sakura had saved him from being impaled as she glared angrily at Madara. If you touch him again, that's gonna be what happens to you next. Sakura said in a low voice. Oh? Was all Madara replied. Sakura? What are you doing? You can't beat him. Leave this to me, Naruto said panicked. That was so hot though. He thought. I heard that. Kurama chimed in. Not a word out of you. Naruto hissed. If you say so. I guess you don't want to hear that I'm ready to help out again. Actually, that's the best news I've heard in a while. I thought you might like to hear that. But Sakura won't last long in a battle like this. Naruto, you need to give her some of my chakra. But why? I'm about to activate Bijuu mode. She won't need it. You're still naive boy. Can't you tell that she wants to fight this battle alongside you? You two are teammates. One of the best pairs I've seen in all my days. But more than that, she loves you, and wants to help you with all her strength. Now transfer my chakra to her now. Naruto thought on Kurama's words for a few seconds. He smiled realizing he was right. Sakura has always been his teammate and they work so well together. Words that Itachi told him not that long ago began to flood his mind. Flashback. You once said it was everyone who cares about you who helped you get where you are now. If you forget others because you now have power, and become arrogant and egotistical, you'll eventually become just like Madara. Itachi explained. Naruto was taken aback by Itachi's words, yet he remained silent and listened. No matter how powerful you become, do not try to shoulder everything alone. If you do, you will surely fail. Naruto paid close attention to everything Itachi was telling him. Everything he had said so far had been true. Never forget your friends. End flashback. Itachi, you're right, Naruto thought to himself. He began to reach his hand over to Sakura. I can't do it alone. My friends, they've been with me every step of the way, but most importantly. Naruto placed his hand on Sakura's shoulder. Sakura has always been the one constantly by my side supporting me, so I promise, I will never forget the sacrifices she or anyone else has ever made for me. Sakura was suddenly surrounded by a cloak of Kurama's chakra and was taken aback by the sudden change and power surge she felt course through her. The cloak took on a form similar to Naruto's version 1 form, only without the tail. She stared at Naruto wide-eyed wondering what he did. Naruto looked down at her and smiled lovingly at her. I've shared some of Kurama's power with you. I'm entrusting you with helping me take Madara down. I can't do this alone. I need you, Naruto said warmly. At first, Sakura didn't know what to think, but then she smiled back at him. I won't let you down. Now let's win this war, together, she stated boldly. Naruto refocused his attention back at Madara. Right, he shouted. He made his signature hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 3 clones appeared in a poof of smoke, all focusing on Madara. Then, each clone activated their tailed beast mode at the same time. Sakura, I'm leaving these three with you to fight Madara. I'm going to go help Chief Toad with Madara's Susanoo. Naruto explained. Got it, leave things here to us, she said, reassuring him. Naruto nodded and turned around and saw the three toads struggling to hold Susanoo off. Let's do this, Kurama, Naruto said to his partner. You got it, Kurama replied. Naruto activated his tailed beast mode and performed the replica of Kurama. He jumped high into the air and started forming a tailed beast bomb. Chief, get out of the way, Naruto yelled. Gamabunta looked up to see the Kurama replica getting ready to fire the bomb. Guys, get out of the way, Gamabunta instructed the other two toads. All three toads jumped back as far as they could to avoid the blast. Susanoo looked up at Naruto at the last moment before he fired the bomb straight at it. It hit Susanoo with a force strong enough to level an entire countryside. The shockwave created from the impact was so powerful, it caused the three toads, who were still in the air from dodging, to be blown back a ways. All three landed a good distance away from the site, trying to recover from their fall. You guys okay? Naruto yelled, concerned. I'm fine, brat, but give us more of a warning next time, Gamabunta shouted back. I'll be alright, just need a minute to get back on my feet, Gamahiro added. I am ungraceful, but I am still alright, Gamaken said last. Naruto sighed in relief that the three were unharmed. However, he had to react fast as the blade of Susanoo was headed straight for him. He grew 2 extra chakra arms to help stop the sword's advance before it could pierce him. What the hell? Naruto thought out loud. The smoke cleared around Susanoo where it had taken the hit from the bomb to reveal that it was badly damaged. Many parts were reverting back to its bone state, but it still had the strength to fight. How the hell can that thing still be standing after that? Naruto yelled. Meanwhile, Sakura and the 3 Naruto clones had yet to begin their fight with Madara. They silently stared each other down until Madara spoke up. It seems he's giving my Susanoo a bit of trouble over there. You'll forgive me if I don't have the time to play with you and your 3 boyfriends, won't you? Madara asked, unimpressed with his clear disadvantage. There's no way I'm letting you go anywhere, Sakura said. The 4 of us are going to stop you right here, right now. Naruto entrusted us with taking you down, she finished. Is that so? Granted, you do seem a bit more powerful now that you have that cloak around you. But you're still no match for me. Yes, you do have these clones here, but one hit from me, and they're history. Naruto should have considered the consequences more before he left such a burden up to you, Madara retorted. Compared to the burden I've made him suffer through, this is nothing. I've caused him so much pain, and yet he still loves me so much. I selfishly asked him to take on a responsibility that no one should ever have to go through. She looked down at her feet and began to tear up as she continued. But now, he's entrusted me with the most important thing he's ever asked of me. She looked up at him and with a look of determination, her tears stopped. So you'll forgive me if I have no intention of letting him down, won't you? Madara stated at her intently. The 3 Naruto clones smiling at her for her brave and thoughtful words. Very well, if you so desire it, I will fight you, Madara said to her. In an instant, Madara was inches away from Sakura, his fist cocked back, ready to strike. He threw his fist at her and she pivoted on her right foot and easily avoided the blow. Madara was slightly shocked but regained his composure and reset himself for another attack. This time he aimed a kick to her head. Sakura bent down to get some leverage and brought her left arm up and blocked the kick. She then tried to aim an uppercut with her free hand to his stomach, but he jumped back to dodge. He was suddenly surrounded by the 3 Naruto clones as they began to assault him with punches and kicks. Madara dodged the blows as best he could, occasionally blocking a few. Then, the 3 clones jumped away and Madara looked up to see Sakura aiming a drop kick at his head. He brought his arms up in an X formation and blocked the kick. The force of the attack caused a crater to form below Madara. Almighty push, he shouted. Sakura braced herself for the impact and it sent her flying backwards. She did a flip in the air and landed on her feet. She looked up to see Madara charging her again, but before he could reach her, one of the Naruto clones kicked him away. He was sent flying towards another clone that kicked him straight upwards. Madara was trying to recover but was unable to as the last clone was above him with a Rasenshuriken already fully formed in its hand. It threw the wind-style Rasengan at Madara and made a direct hit in his stomach. The Jutsu expanded and then turned into a giant ball of wind chakra that kept slicing away at Madara's reanimated body. Madara fell to the ground, his body shredded in some areas. But he seemed rather calm. Not bad. This may prove a little tougher than I originally realized, he said. Madara's body began to regenerate itself rather quickly, and soon, he was up on his feet again. Man, this guy just won't stay down. No matter how much of a beating he takes. It looks like the only way to stop him is like Kakashi-sensei said. We need to take out his eyes. But how? Sakura thought to herself. Now's not a good time for you to be spacing out, my dear. Madara said as he was charging towards her. Sakura snapped out of her thoughts and set herself in a defensive stance. Madara proceeded to barrage her with punches and kicks, but Sakura was just able to keep up with the attacks, dodging, blocking, or matching them. Madara then withdrew and started going through some hand signs. Fire style. Grand Fireball Jutsu. He yelled. He blew a giant fireball towards Sakura, however, she did not move from her spot. Just as the fireball was nearing her, one of the clones jumped in front of her and started to absorb the jutsu. Sakura, behind you, the clone yelled. Sakura spun around and sent a punch right into the chest of a wood clone Madara had created, shattering it to pieces. Thanks Naruto, Sakura said in a relieved voice. TCH, how did it know? Madara asked annoyed. He looked around and saw one of the clones was focused on him, while the other was focused on Sakura and the clone that absorbed the attack. Of course, it knew because of the Rinnegan. These clones are going to prove to be a pain. I've got to separate them somehow so I can take them out one at a time. Then I can focus all my attention on that girl. I have to admit, she's proving to be a lot harder to deal with than I thought she would. Madara contemplated. While Madara had his hands full with Sakura and Naruto's clones, the real Naruto had Susanoo on the defensive. The three summons had rejoined the battle as well, causing real problems for Susanoo. Because of their constant attacks, it didn't have enough time to recover from the damage the bomb caused it. Even with its extra arms and legs, it still wasn't enough to stand up to the onslaught. Come on guys, we've got it on the ropes, the Chief Toad said. Susanoo tried to take a swing at Naruto, but Gomakin jumped in front of the attack and blocked it with his shield. Naruto created 4 chakra arms and grabbed all 4 of Susanoo's arms from behind Gomakin. This gave Gamabunta and Gamahiro the opportunity to attack from behind. They dashed at Susanoo, but it was able to take its 2 back legs and kick them both in the stomach and cancelling their attack. However, Gomakin was able to use his Sasamata and aim a direct hit at Susanoo's midsection. He didn't let up after just hitting Susanoo though. He kept pushing, trying to create a deeper wound, all the while pushing it backwards. Naruto had to extend the chakra arm's reach to be able to keep a hold of Susanoo's arms so it couldn't retaliate. Finally, Gomakin gave one last shove and pierced Susanoo's armor and dealt a serious wound to where a portion of its skeletal area was located. Susanoo knelt down, obviously feeling the pain inflicted by that attack. Okay, you've done well. I'll take it from here, Naruto said to Gomakin. Gomakin turned to Naruto and nodded in acknowledgement. Okay, I did the best I could. Although, I was very ungraceful. I hope this was enough. Gomakin replied. It was more than enough. Thank you, Naruto praised. Alright kid, get this over with. I'm sick of this guy. Gamabunta ordered. With pleasure, Chief, Naruto said agreeing. Naruto began to form another tailed beast bomb, putting all the power he possibly could into it to give the finishing blow. Gomakin remained in place, waiting for Naruto to give the word. Now, Naruto shouted. Gomakin jumped away from Susanoo. It looked up and stared at Naruto and the bomb. Naruto then fired it at Susanoo's head. Naruto let go of Susanoo and jumped back as the bomb impacted with Susanoo's head and caused another powerful shockwave. It still knelt there, not moving. As the dust cleared, it revealed Susanoo's head had been completely blown off. There was nothing left of it. Finally, it slowly began to fall forward, dropping its sword in the process. It hit the ground with a huge thud, causing a small tremor. It lay there for a moment, until its physical form began to revert. First to the muscle portion, then to the skeleton portion. It then disappeared completely. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. So glad that's finally over with, he said relaxing. I'll say, that guy was a pain in the ass. Gamabunta added. Does this mean we're done here? Gamahiro asked. Yeah, I can take care of the rest. Thank you for your help, Naruto said to the three toads. No problem, glad to help, Gamabunta said. Alright, we'll be taking our leave then. Do your best, brat. Naruto gave him a thumbs up and smiled. Without another word, the three toads poofed away, back to Mount Myaboku. It would appear that I haven't given enough credit to that Jinchuriki, Madara stated, referring to Susanoo's defeat. Naruto now turned his attention back to where Madara, Sakura, and his three clones were. His and Madara's eyes locked on each other once more, each acknowledging the other's strength. So now what? Susanoo is gone. Do you plan to fight Madara alone? Kurama asked. Naruto shook his head. No, I won't be alone. I'll have you and Sakura there to back me up. Naruto smiled at those words. Hey, you've learned a lot, Naruto. Don't worry, I'll be here the whole time. Kurama reassured him. Thanks, Kurama. I'm going to turn back to normal-tailed beast mode now. We need to conserve your chakra. Plus, it would be pointless to use this form while fighting a small and fast opponent. Good call, kid. Now let's beat the crap out of this guy. I still want payback for the time he controlled me with those eyes of his. Kurama said, growling. Whoa, easy there, big guy. He'll get what's coming to him. I promise you that. I'm holding you to that. Alright, let's go. Naruto began to descend to the ground as the Nine Tails replica began to disappear. He touched down and began walking to the site of the battle, not once breaking eye contact with Madara. Sakura watched Naruto with much anticipation. The air became thick and Sakura was slightly intimidated by how strong he was. But at the same time, she felt safe being with him. After being his teammate for so long, she's built a sense of security while being with him. Naruto, you really are incredible, she thought. Naruto stopped walking as he had reached the battlefield, the staring contest continuing. Naruto then spoke. We don't have to do this, Madara. There's no point in fighting anymore. Your plan failed the moment the Juubi sided with me. Obito is dead and Kabuto had been stopped. So why do you still want to keep fighting? Naruto asked. Naruto, what the hell are you doing? You said he would get what's coming to him. Besides, reasoning with this madman will never work. Kurama roared at Naruto. I'm sorry, Kurama, but I just feel like all this fighting is pointless. I had to fight to keep everyone safe. But this war was over the minute Kabuto released the reanimation technique. So why keep fighting when there's nothing left to fight for? Naruto replied. Why do I keep fighting? Well, the answer is simple, really, it's fun. Madara said. What? It's fun? Is that really the only reason? Naruto yelled. Ninja are born to fight, boy. That is the nature of our purpose. It has always been that way since the beginning. I've just learned to enjoy it. You mean to tell me you enjoy causing people to suffer all because you think it's fun? Exactly. Kurama, screw what I said before. I can't allow him to hurt anyone else. Naruto said in a panic. That's more like it. You taught me the error of my ways. Now it's time you did the same for him. Kurama replied enthusiastically. You've given me the toughest challenge since I fought Hashirama. There aren't many in this world that can provide me with that. You have my respect. But that also means I must kill you, Madara stated. What? Naruto said, shocked. I was never able to beat Hashirama. Killing you will help ease the humiliation, if only a little bit. Yo, you're insane. Maybe, but you cannot change what I believe. Our fight will continue, and it will end with one of us standing victorious. If you really wish to save everyone, I suggest you come at me with everything you've got. Madara started to perform a set of hand signs. Naruto didn't recognize this combination, so he knew he had to be on his guard. Wood-style secret technique. Nativity of a world of trees. Madara shouted. Before Naruto could react, trees began to rapidly sprout from the ground and condense around the area. He, Sakura, and all three of the clones had been separated as the trees grew into a miniature forest. Shit, he separated us so we wouldn't be able to use our combined eyesight to predict his attacks. And to top it off, Sakura's alone as well. Naruto thought to himself, panicking. Calm down, Naruto. You can cut the trees down with your Rasen Shuriken. Once the other clones see what you're trying to do, they'll do the same. Just make sure you watch yourself create the technique, and they'll be able to see it. Kurama said, trying to get Naruto to relax. You're right, thanks Kurama, I needed that. Okay, here goes. Naruto focused on his hand and began to form the Rasen Shuriken. As he was doing so, the clones caught the image and knew what the real Naruto meant to do. Each clone began to create their own Rasen shuriken. When each was complete, they simultaneously threw their attack at different sections of the forest, cutting down as many trees as possible. Once most of the trees had been cut down, Madara could be seen in a clearing near the middle of the forest. Each of the Narutos began closing in, preparing to strike. But when the real Naruto got closer, he stopped dead in his tracks. His eyes wide and his mouth hanging open. Tears started to flow down them as he witnessed the scene in front of him. One of Madara's arms was in the form of a wooden spear, and at the end of it was Sakura, impaled in the chest. Her expression was that of shock. She was gasping and gauging, and Madara stood there with his usual expressionless look. Naruto dropped to his knees, unable to process what he was staring at. He thought he had to be in some horrible genjutsu set up by Madara. Madara turned his head to face him. A small smile could be seen on his face. "Naruto, get a hold of yourself. Don't be fooled. Look closer at Sakura," Kurama yelled. Naruto followed Kurama's advice and looked at Sakura. Then he noticed it. He was taken aback at what he saw. With his Byakugan powers, he could see that her chakra system was different and could also make out an explosive tag under her shirt. A substitution? He thought to himself. Bingo! Naruto then saw the explosive tag activate. The Sakura look-alike then transformed into a log and the explosive was about to blow. Madara didn't seem worried and casually chucked the log to the side. Before it exploded, the real Sakura jumped out from where she was hiding. Madara apparently knew where she was and used the log to lure her out. The tag finally exploded and the aftermath hit Sakura, but only slightly. She had to cover her eyes from any debris that might fly her way. Madara took this opportunity to strike. He jumped to where she was and attempted to impale her with his spear. One of the Naruto clones jumped in front of the attack and took the hit, giving Sakura enough time to escape. The clone poofed away after being hit. "Well, at least that's one pest out of the way," Madara said. Madara didn't have time to say much more, as Naruto and his two clones had formed giant Rasengans and were attacking him from the front, back and from above. The three Rasengan collided and it was too much for the Narutos to handle. They had to break the jutsu and recover. Just as well too, because Madara was able to escape the attack at the last second. "You'll have to do better than that if you want to hit me," Madara said as he raised his right arm to his head. Sakura at that exact moment had aimed a flying kick at Madara's head. He was able to detect and block it easily. "I've gotta calm down and focus. He's trying to get to me by making it look like he's in control of this battle. But I know we're backing him into a corner if he was so desperate to separate us," Naruto told himself. "I think it's time for a little more close combat." He looked to his two remaining clones. "Back me up, and whatever you do, don't take your eyes off him." The clones nodded and the three of them began their assault. "Aim for the eyes whenever you can. That's his weakness," the real Naruto instructed. Naruto was the first to take on Madara, who had been awaiting their advance. Naruto began to punch rapidly at his chest and head, but Madara was able to dodge and block all his attacks. Naruto tried a few kicks, but those didn't work either. Then he did something Madara didn't expect. He jumped in the air and did some flips. Madara learned this was a distraction as he heard the sound of a clone charging at him with a planetary Rasengan. Madara dodged to the side before the attack could hit him and into the waiting trap of another clone that had the same attack ready. Madara had no choice but to jump up to avoid the attack, and the real Naruto was waiting. He did one more flip to gather a last bit of momentum, and swung a drop kick at Madara's head. Madara couldn't dodge, so he settled for blocking as best he could with both his arms. The kick landed and sent him plummeting to the ground at a super fast pace. He couldn't recover from the blow and had no choice but to brace for impact. But just as he was about to hit the ground, Sakura appeared under him, with an enhanced chakra punch waiting for him. She scored a direct hit on his back. The force of the punch was strong enough to create a gaping hole in his chest area and also sent him flying back towards Naruto, who was ready to take aim at his head with a punch of his own, but this time, Madara was able to counter. "Amaterasu," he said calmly. Naruto gasped as he knew he wouldn't be able to dodge an Amaterasu in midair. Then an idea came to him. "Almighty push," he shouted. He didn't aim the push at Amaterasu though. Instead, he used it on himself, to propel him higher into the air and avoid the spot where Amaterasu began to form. Madara was already close to fully regenerating the hole in his chest, but Naruto wasn't about to let him off so easily. He formed a Rasen Shuriken and threw it at him before he could regenerate completely. But Madara only began to absorb the attack. Naruto saw this as an opening. While Madara was focused on absorbing that attack, he'd swoop down and try to land another punch. But he wasn't fast enough. Before he could reach him, Madara had already absorbed the attack and began forming hand signs. Fire style. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Madara announced. He blew the fireball at Naruto, which caused him to have to change tactics. Madara had used the force of his attack to propel himself back towards the ground and away from Naruto. The fireball was nearing Naruto, so he opted to repel it. Almighty push, he said. He bounced Madara's fireball back towards him, but Madara was ready to counter. Almighty push. What? Naruto asked, shocked. The fireball was repelled towards him again and he couldn't use the push technique for another few seconds, and he was too surprised to counter by absorbing it. Universal pull. Naruto was surprised to feel himself being pulled towards the ground and away from the fireball. One of his clones had literally pulled him out of harm's way. Madara had landed safely on the ground. Sakura had tried to attack him again, but he forced her on the defensive when he tried to burn her with his Amaterasu. Naruto landed as well and wasted no time trying to remain on the offensive. He settled for a more direct approach by tossing kunai and shuriken at Madara's eyes. Almighty push. Madara said, unimpressed. The weapons were pushed off to the side, but Naruto wasn't finished. He jumped up to reveal one of his clones running behind him, and tossed a few kunai and shuriken of his own. Madara couldn't use the same technique again for a few more seconds, so he had to dodge them. He jumped to the side of the weapons, but the next thing that happened surprised him. The last clone threw its own weapons at the ones the other clone threw, redirecting them at Madara, who was still in the process of dodging the same set that was now headed straight for his eyes. With quick thinking, he created a wood clone that detached from the front of his body and took the hit for him. I must admit, you almost had me there. You seem to have changed tactics and are wasting no time in coming after my eyes. But I'm afraid I won't make it easy on you. Madara said to his 4 opponents. Maybe, but at some point, you will slip up. And we will make you pay for it. Naruto retorted. Possibly, but it could also be you who slips up first. Madara countered. Naruto didn't seem to have a comeback and remained silent. Enough talk then. Let's continue. Madara took after Naruto, and Naruto did the same. They were headed for a clash when Naruto suddenly saw a small black hole begin to form around Madara's right eye. Madara seemed to notice this as well. He formed a wood clone and separated himself from it and jumped back. The wood clone's right eye had been sucked from its socket. Naruto immediately destroyed the wood clone with one punch. He looked behind him to see Kakashi standing a fair distance away. He had his Mangekyo Sharingan activated. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto and Sakura said in unison. Thought I'd give my students one last hand. If it's a battle of eyes, I think I qualify to join in. Kakashi said. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.